Aaron froze when he saw the man standing across the hospital hallway. Herson, Aaron asked. The man slowly turned around. Aaron stepped closer. You may not know me, but... Herson immediately cut him off. I know who you are, Herson said, staring at him in disbelief. Aaron Smith. Aaron's eyes widened. Then you remember me. Aaron, you died 12 years ago. The hallway went silent. Noah moved closer to his father. Dad, who is this man? Herson looked around at the bright white walls, the empty nurse's station, and the clock that had stopped moving. This isn't real life, Herson said. This is a defective timeline. Aaron placed both hands on the arms of his wheelchair and pushed himself upward. His legs shook at first, but then he stood completely straight. Noah's mouth fell open. Herson stepped back. You can walk. Aaron looked down at his legs. He slowly took one step, then another. I haven't walked in years, Aaron whispered. He touched his chest, remembering the pain, the hospital, and the moment everything had gone dark. Aaron looked at Herson. So when we die, we come here. Noah stepped between them. Sir, you need to leave, Noah said. My dad just woke up after 12 years. He doesn't need this. Aaron placed a hand on Noah's shoulder. Noah, stop, I know him. No, you knew someone named Herson, Noah replied. This man is talking like you're both dead. Herson's expression became serious. Because we are. Aaron looked down at his hands. They were no longer weak. There were no tubes attached to him, no wheelchair straps, and no pain shooting through his body. Behind them, the hallway began to change. The hospital walls flickered like a broken television screen. For a few seconds, Aaron saw the courtroom where he had lost custody of Noah and Eli. Then the image disappeared, replaced by the psychiatric facility where he had supposedly died. Aaron heard a judge's voice echo through the hallway. The children will remain with Linda. Then he heard Eli crying. Dad, please don't let them take us. Aaron covered his ears. No, he whispered, that already happened. Herson walked toward him. It happened in one timeline, Herson said, but this place contains every decision that could have been made differently. Noah shook his head. That makes no sense. It will, Herson replied. You just don't remember dying yet. Noah stared at him. Aaron grabbed Herson by the shirt. Don't say that to my son. Herson looked down at Aaron's hands. You're standing, you're strong, you don't need anyone to transfer you or help you breathe. Does that feel normal to you? Aaron slowly released him. No, Aaron admitted. A door appeared at the end of the hallway. It had not been there moments earlier. Written across it were 3 names. Aaron, Noah, Eli. Aaron's heart began racing. Where is Eli? He asked. Herson looked toward the door. That is what we need to find out. A child screamed from the other side. Dad. Aaron recognized the voice immediately. Eli. He ran toward the door, still unable to believe that his legs were carrying him. Noah followed closely behind. Dad, wait. Aaron reached for the handle, but Herson shouted from behind them. Don't open it. Aaron turned around. My son is in there. That might sound like Eli, Herson warned, but this timeline knows what you love. It will use your family to keep you trapped. Eli screamed again. Dad, please help me. Aaron tightened his grip on the door handle. Real or not, I'm not leaving my son behind. He pulled the door open. On the other side was Aaron's old house. Linda stood in the living room with a smile on her face. Noah was sitting beside her, even though the real Noah was standing behind Aaron. Eli was on the floor playing chess. Aaron stared at 2 versions of his son. The Noah beside Linda looked up. Dad, he asked. The Noah standing behind Aaron whispered, what the hell is going on? Linda smiled wider. Welcome home, Aaron. Linda walked into the kitchen, as if nothing unusual had happened. Aaron, go take a shower, I'm making lunch, she said. Noah, Eli, pause your chess game and wash your hands. Aaron remained beside the open doorway, staring at the younger versions of his sons. Young Noah and Eli sat at the kitchen table with a chessboard between them. Neither child seemed frightened by Aaron's sudden appearance. Linda looked back at him. And Aaron, I told you to let me know when your lawyer was coming from his office. Older Noah stayed behind Aaron, keeping his distance from Linda. She might not be able to see me, he whispered, my younger self is already here. Aaron glanced between the two Noahs. Or maybe you're still living in the other timeline, Aaron said quietly. Older Noah touched the kitchen wall, his fingers did not pass through it. I feel real. You look real to me, Aaron replied. Linda walked past them and placed another plate on the table. Herson, please sit down, she said. Noah helped Mr. Herson to the table. Young Noah stood from his chair. Yes, Mom. He walked toward Herson and gently took his arm. Herson stared at the child. You know who I am, he asked. Young Noah nodded, your dad's lawyer. Older Noah watched his younger self guide Herson toward the table. That's me, he whispered, but I don't remember this. Aaron slowly entered the kitchen. Linda placed sandwiches, fruit, and drinks in front of everyone. She behaved as though this were an ordinary family afternoon. Then she looked at Aaron with concern. Aaron, Bob has been dead for 3 years, Linda said. Aaron froze. What? Herson cannot replace your father, she continued. This is his last day coming here. Herson looked at her. Linda, what are you talking about? I love you, Aaron, Linda said, ignoring him. But you need to move on. The boys need their father. They don't need you searching for a new grandfather. Aaron's hands began trembling. Herson was my lawyer, he said. He was never replacing Bob. Linda sighed. You have been calling him Dad for months. No, I haven't. Yes, you have. Aaron looked toward Herson. Have I? Herson shook his head. Not in the life I remember. Linda placed her hand against Aaron's face. You've been confused since the accident, she said gently. That's why Herson agreed to keep visiting, but this cannot continue. Aaron stepped away from her. What accident? Linda's expression changed. For the first time, she looked uncertain. The accident that damaged your memory. What happened? Linda glanced toward the children. We shouldn't discuss this in front of them. Eli moved one of the chess pieces. Dad fell down the stairs, he said. Young Noah shook his head. No, he didn't. Everyone turned toward him. Linda's face became tense. Noah, eat your lunch. Young Noah continued staring at Aaron. Dad didn't fall, he said. Someone pushed him. Linda slammed her hand against the table. That is enough. The lights flickered. For 1 second, the kitchen disappeared. Aaron saw the white hallway again. He saw Linda standing over his wheelchair while Herson's body lay motionless on the floor. Then the kitchen returned. Older Noah grabbed Aaron's arm. Dad, did you see that? Aaron nodded. Herson rose from his chair. This timeline is correcting itself, he said. The more we question it, the harder it tries to keep the story together. Linda looked directly at Herson. You need to leave. I don't think I was invited here, Herson replied. I think Aaron brought me. Linda's eyes moved toward older Noah. For the first time, she appeared to see him. You, she whispered. Older Noah stepped backward. You can see me now. Linda dropped the plate she was holding. It shattered on the floor. You aren't supposed to be here, she said. Young Noah looked between them. Mom, who are you talking to? Linda pointed at the older version of her son. Him. The young Noah turned, but he saw nothing. Aaron moved in front of older Noah. Do not touch my son. Linda began crying. Aaron, that is not your son. He is Noah. No, Linda said, that is what Noah becomes if you open the wrong door. Older Noah stared at her. What does that mean? Linda looked toward the chessboard. Eli had stopped playing. Every piece on the board had turned black except for one white king. Eli touched the white king. Dad, he said softly, you have to choose which Noah stays. Aaron's face went pale. I'm not choosing between my children. You already did, Linda replied. The walls began shaking. A second door appeared beside the refrigerator. One side was labeled, The Life Aaron Lost. The other side read, The Life Aaron Stole. Herson moved beside Aaron. Whatever is behind those doors, he warned, one of them is lying. Aaron looked at both versions of Noah. Then he looked at Eli. Where is the older Eli? The room became completely silent. Linda wiped the tears from her face. You don't want to know. Eli leaned over Noah and shook his shoulder. Noah, wake up, Noah. Noah's eyes slowly opened. What happened? He asked weakly. Linda stood beside the couch with her phone still in her hand, tears streamed down her face. "We almost lost you," she cried. Noah blinked several times. "Oh, what?" "You took a nap and stopped breathing," Eli explained. "I gave you CPR while Mom called 911. Noah tried to sit up, but Eli gently pushed him back down. "Don't move, the ambulance is coming." Noah looked around the living room. The strange doors were gone. There was no younger version of himself sitting at the chessboard. Aaron and Herson had also disappeared. "Where'd Dad?" Noah asked. Linda's expression changed. Eli looked at him strangely. "And where Herson?" Noah continued. Eli glanced at Linda before answering. "They're dead, Noah." Noah stared at him. "No, Dad was just here." Eli shook his head. "Dad died 12 years ago. And Herson died not long after him," Linda added quietly. "No," Noah insisted. "I saw them. Dad was walking." Eli sat beside him. "Dad couldn't walk. He could in that place." "What place?" Eli asked. Noah looked toward the kitchen. "I was in this house, but it wasn't this house. You were younger. I was there twice, once as a kid and once as myself." Eli frowned. "I don't understand." "There were two timelines," Noah said. "Dad and Herson knew something was wrong." Eli touched Noah's forehead. "Maybe your brain wasn't getting enough oxygen." "I'm not confused." "Noah, you stopped breathing," Linda said. "You may have dreamed all of it." "It wasn't a dream." The sound of sirens grew louder outside. Noah looked toward the chessboard on the table. The pieces were positioned exactly as they had been inside the other timeline. One white king remained surrounded by black pieces. Noah pointed at it. "Did you set the board like that?" Eli turned around. "No, we were playing a normal game before you fell asleep." Linda walked toward the board. The moment she touched the white king, the lights flickered. Noah heard Aaron's voice whisper inside his head. "Don't let her choose for you." Noah gasped. "Dad." Eli grabbed his hand. "Noah, stay with me." "You didn't hear that." "Hear what?" "Dad spoke to me." Linda stepped away from the chessboard. "Noah, your father is gone. He said not to let you choose." Linda's face went pale. Eli noticed her reaction. "Mom, I don't know what he's talking about." "Yes, you do," Noah said. Paramedics rushed through the front door carrying medical bags and a stretcher. One paramedic knelt beside Noah and began checking his pulse and oxygen level. "What's your name?" she asked. "Noah Smith." "Do you know where you are?" "At my mother's house." "And what year is it?" Noah gave the correct year. The paramedic glanced at Linda. "He appears alert." "He was talking about his dead father," Linda explained. "He thinks he saw him." Noah looked past the paramedic. Aaron stood in the hallway. He was still walking, but parts of his body flickered like a damaged recording. Herson stood beside him. Neither Eli nor Linda reacted. Only Noah could see them. Aaron raised one finger to his lips. "Don't tell them we're here," he whispered. Noah stopped talking. The paramedic placed an oxygen mask over his face. "We're taking you to the hospital." As they lifted Noah onto the stretcher, Eli held his hand. "I'm coming with you." Linda grabbed her coat. "We both are." Aaron followed the stretcher toward the front door. Herson remained in the hallway. "Noah," Herson called. Noah turned his head. "The timeline didn't release you, it followed you back." The front door slammed shut between them. Inside the ambulance, Eli sat beside the stretcher. "What did you see?" he asked. Noah looked toward the window. Aaron was running alongside the ambulance, keeping pace without any difficulty. Noah closed his eyes. "Nothing." Eli squeezed his hand. "You can tell me." "No, I can't," Noah whispered, "because you don't know about the timelines yet." "Yet." Noah opened his eyes and looked directly at him. "In the other timeline, you knew something was wrong before any of us." Eli shook his head. "I've never seen another timeline." The heart monitor suddenly beeped faster. A second reflection appeared in the ambulance window. It was an older version of Eli. Older Eli stared directly at Noah from the glass. Then he raised one hand and wrote 3 words in the condensation. "Don't trust Linda." Noah pulled off the oxygen mask. "Eli." "What?" Noah pointed toward the window, but the message and the older Eli had already disappeared. Eli looked outside. There's nobody there. Noah slowly placed the mask back over his face. In the front of the ambulance, Linda watched them through the rearview mirror. For 1 second, her reflection smiled even though her real face did not. Eli stood inside the ambulance, gripping the side of Noah's stretcher. "Yo, give my brother something," Eli shouted. "He told us he saw our dead dad and our dead family lawyer help my brother." The paramedic looked at him calmly. "Sit down please, we're already helping him." He stopped breathing and now he's seeing dead people. "We cannot safely give him medication without knowing what caused this," the paramedic explained. "His oxygen level dropped, confusion or visions can happen after that." "I'm not confused," Noah said through the oxygen mask. Eli turned toward him. "Bro, you said Dad was running beside the ambulance." "He was. Dad has been dead for 12 years. "I know." The paramedic adjusted the monitor attached to Noah's finger. "Noah, are you seeing your father right now?" Noah looked toward the back doors of the ambulance. Aaron was sitting beside Herson, even though the doors were closed and there was nowhere for them to sit. Aaron shook his head, warning Noah not to answer. "No," Noah lied. The paramedic glanced at Eli. "That's a good sign." "No, it isn't," Eli said. "He just decided not to tell you." Noah gave him an annoyed look. "Eli, stop. I'm trying to help you. I need you to trust me." "Trust what? The invisible dead people?" Aaron leaned closer to Noah. "Tell Eli about the chessboard," he whispered. Noah looked at his brother. "The chessboard." Eli froze. "What about it?" "In the other timeline, every piece turned black except one white king." Eli slowly sat down. Before Noah had stopped breathing, Eli had seen the exact same thing. He had assumed his eyes were playing tricks on him. "You saw that?" Eli asked. "Yes." Eli looked toward Linda, who was sitting near the front of the ambulance. Linda avoided his eyes. "Mom," Eli said, "did you see the pieces change?" "No. You touched the White King right before the lights flickered." "I was cleaning up the game." "You're lying." Linda turned around. "Eli, your brother nearly died. This is not the time." "It is exactly the time." The heart monitor began beeping faster. The paramedic placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. "You need to calm down, you're upsetting him." "I'm not upsetting him, she is." Noah reached out and grabbed Eli's wrist. "Look at the window." Eli glanced toward the ambulance window. At first he only saw his reflection. Then an older version of himself appeared behind it. Eli stopped breathing for a second. The older Eli raised one finger and pointed directly at Linda. Then he wrote in the fogged glass, "She remembers everything." Eli stumbled backward. "You saw him," Noah said. Eli looked at Noah with tears in his eyes. "That was me. An older version of you." Linda stood. "What are you two looking at?" Eli turned toward her. "You can't see him. There is nothing there." Older Eli pressed both hands against the other side of the glass. His mouth moved but no sound came through. Then Aaron appeared beside him. Eli began crying. "Dad." Linda's face went pale. The paramedic looked toward the window but saw only darkness. Eli moved closer. Aaron placed his palm against the glass. Eli raised his hand and matched it from inside the ambulance. "I miss you," Eli whispered. Aaron smiled sadly. "I know." Eli's eyes widened. This time he heard him. Linda rushed forward and pulled Eli away from the window. "Stop it." "Let me go," Eli yelled. She held him tightly. "There is nothing outside." "Yes there is, Dad is right there." The paramedic tried to separate them. "Everyone needs to sit down." Suddenly the ambulance came to a violent stop. The lights shut off. The heart monitor went silent. For several seconds nobody moved. Then the back doors opened by themselves. The ambulance was no longer on a city street. It was parked inside the white hospital hallway from the defective timeline. Aaron and Herson stood outside. Aaron looked at both sons. "Noah, Eli, get out of the ambulance." Linda grabbed the stretcher. "No one is going anywhere." Herson stepped closer. "You remember us now, Linda." Linda's frightened expression disappeared. She slowly smiled. I never forgot. The paramedic grabbed the rail beside Noah's stretcher. Ma'am, you and your son need to sit down now, she ordered. The ambulance is moving and someone is going to get hurt. Linda released Eli and returned to her seat. Eli sat beside Noah, but he kept staring toward the back doors. Aaron and Herson were gone. The white hallway had vanished too. Outside the ambulance windows, streetlights rushed past as though nothing had happened. The driver lifted the radio. Dispatch Ambulance 12, he said. I have 3 people reporting that they're seeing individuals who aren't physically present. Static crackled through the speaker. Ambulance 12, clarify, is there a possible gas or chemical exposure? I don't know, the driver replied. The patient stopped breathing before transport. His brother is now reporting the same visual disturbance. The paramedic looked at Linda. And the mother reacted to it too. I did not see anything, Linda said quickly. Eli pointed at her. You smiled at Dad. No, I didn't. You said you never forgot them. Linda shook her head. You're both confused. Noah pulled the oxygen mask away from his mouth. She saw them before we did. The paramedic placed the mask back over his face. Keep that on. The driver continued speaking into the radio. Requesting police assistance and a hazardous material screening at the hospital entrance. Eli's eyes widened. We don't need police, my brother needs a doctor. We are taking him to a doctor, the paramedic said, but 3 people seeing the same thing could mean there's something inside this ambulance affecting everyone. Linda glanced toward the front. 3 people. The paramedic nodded. You, Noah and Eli. I told you I didn't see anything. Then how did you know Mr. Herson was standing beside Aaron? Noah asked. Linda froze. Eli slowly turned toward her. We never told you where Herson was standing. Linda looked down at her hands. The paramedic noticed the change in her expression. Ma'am, who are Aaron and Herson? Linda remained silent. They were dead men, Eli answered. Aaron was our dad, Herson was our family lawyer. The driver looked through the rearview mirror. Did you say dead? Yes, Noah said. The radio crackled again. Ambulance 12, what are the names of the individuals being seen? The driver answered. Aaron Smith and a lawyer named Herson, first name unknown. The dispatcher went silent. Dispatch, the driver asked. A different voice came through the radio. Ambulance 12, pull over immediately. The driver frowned. Why? Both of those men were listed as passengers in an ambulance accident 12 years ago. Noah sat upright. What accident? The paramedic tried to keep him still. Lie back down. The dispatcher continued. The ambulance disappeared during transport. It was never recovered. Linda began crying. Eli stared at her. Mom, what aren't you telling us? Linda wiped her face. Aaron wasn't supposed to be in that ambulance. Noah removed the mask again. What do you mean? Herson was transporting evidence, Linda said, evidence that could have reopened the custody case. What evidence? Eli demanded. Linda looked toward the back doors. A recording of Aaron saying he remembered who drugged the water. The ambulance suddenly slowed. The driver pressed the brake pedal harder. It isn't stopping. The paramedic looked toward the front. What do you mean? I'm braking. The streetlights outside began flickering. The radio filled with screaming static. Then Aaron's voice came through the speaker. Noah, Eli, do not let the ambulance reach the hospital. Eli grabbed Noah's hand. Dad. The driver stared at the radio. I heard that too. The paramedic's face went pale. That makes 4 people. Linda stood again. We need to get out. You just told us to ignore them, Eli said. I was trying to protect you. From Dad. Linda shook her head. From the thing pretending to be him. The driver fought with the steering wheel as the ambulance turned by itself. The hospital appeared at the end of the road. Every window was dark except one on the top floor. A man stood behind the glass. Herson. He raised a handwritten sign. Aaron never died in the accident. Noah pressed his face toward the window. Then where did he go? The radio crackled. Aaron answered him. I was trapped between the timelines. The hospital entrance opened. The ambulance accelerated toward it. Linda grabbed the back door handle. "If we enter that building," she said, "one of us will not come back." Eli looked at her. "Which one?" Linda stared at Noah. "The one who already died once." The ambulance doors opened as soon as it reached the hospital. Doctors, nurses, security officers, and 2 police officers surrounded the vehicle. Noah was rushed inside on the stretcher while Eli and Linda followed closely behind. A doctor met them in the emergency room. "You're all safe now," he said. "We're going to examine Noah and make sure no one was exposed to anything harmful." Eli shook his head. "My dad is dead," he said. "He died in a psychiatric ward 12 years ago. He did not disappear in an ambulance." The doctor looked at Linda. "Is that correct?" Linda nodded slowly. "Aaron died after being placed on a psychiatric hold. Then whoever they believe they saw could have been caused by stress, oxygen loss, or a shared environmental exposure," the doctor explained. Noah ripped the oxygen mask away from his face. "Fuck you." Everyone in the room froze. The doctor remained calm. "I understand that you're scared." "No, you don't," Noah snapped. "You think I'm crazy." "I didn't say that." "You were about to." Eli stepped beside the stretcher. "My brother saw Dad before he stopped breathing," Eli said. "Then I saw him too." The doctor glanced toward the paramedic. "Did anyone on your team experience the same hallucination?" The driver entered the room. "I heard a voice over the radio." The doctor frowned. "What did it say?" "It told Noah and Eli not to let the ambulance reach the hospital." Linda crossed her arms tightly. "That could have been radio interference." "It used their names," the driver replied. The doctor turned toward Linda. "You said you didn't see or hear anything." Linda looked away. Noah pointed at her. "She's lying." "Noah," Linda warned. "You knew where Herson was standing even though none of us told you." Eli looked at the doctor. "Herson was our family lawyer. He died years ago too." The doctor took a step closer to Linda. "Ma'am, I need you to tell me exactly what you experienced." Linda remained silent. "Mom," Eli said, "tell them." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "I saw Aaron." Noah stared at her. "I knew it." "I only saw him for a second," Linda continued. "He was standing beside Herson." "And he spoke to you," Noah said. Linda shook her head. "You said I never forgot," Eli reminded her. The doctor pulled a chair toward Linda. "Sit down." "I'm fine." "That wasn't a request." Linda slowly sat. The doctor turned toward the nurses. "Separate examinations, blood tests, oxygen levels, toxicology screening, and neurological checks for all 3. A security officer moved toward Eli. Eli stepped back. "I'm staying with my brother." "You're not in trouble," the doctor said. "We need to determine whether something affected your entire household." Noah pointed toward the dark hospital window. "It followed us here." Everyone turned. Aaron stood on the other side of the glass. His hospital gown was torn and a faded identification bracelet remained around his wrist. Unlike before, he was no longer smiling. Herson stood behind him, holding a file against his chest. Noah sat up. "Dad." Eli followed Noah's stare. "I see him too." Linda refused to look. The doctor glanced toward the window but saw only his own reflection. "There's no one there." Aaron raised his hand and pointed toward the doctor. His mouth moved slowly. Noah read his lips. "He says you were there." The doctor's calm expression disappeared. "What?" "At the psych ward," Noah said. "Dad says you were there the night he died." Eli looked at the doctor's identification badge. The doctor's name was Dr. Rivera. Eli's face went pale. "You interviewed us during the custody case." Dr. Rivera covered his badge with one hand. "That was a long time ago." "You talked to Dad before they took him away," Noah said. "I treated many patients." "You remember him." Dr. Rivera looked toward security. "Remove the family from this room." Noah grabbed the stretcher rail. "Fuck no." 2 officers stepped closer, but the lights suddenly shut off. Emergency lights flashed red across the room. Aaron was no longer outside the window. He was standing inside the emergency room. This time everyone could see him. Dr. Rivera stumbled backward. No. Aaron walked toward him. You told them I died, Aaron said. Dr. Rivera shook his head. You cannot be here. Herson appeared beside Aaron and opened the file. He can, Herson replied, because this timeline has finally reached the night you murdered him. Linda backed into the wall as Aaron and Herson stood beneath the red emergency lights. What the fuck, she screamed, you two are dead. Aaron stopped several feet away from her. Herson remained beside him, holding the old case file against his chest. Linda turned toward Dr. Rivera. Doctor, give me something, give me medication, I'm going crazy. Dr. Rivera did not move. His face had gone completely pale. No medication yet, he said, we need to understand what everyone is seeing. Linda grabbed his coat. You see them too. Dr. Rivera looked at Aaron. Yes. The room fell silent. Noah pointed at him from the stretcher. So we're not hallucinating. I didn't say that, Dr. Rivera replied. You just admitted you can see them, Eli said. Dr. Rivera pulled away from Linda and looked toward the nurses. Clear the room. One nurse hesitated, Doctor. Now. The nurses and security officers began moving toward the door, but Aaron stepped in front of it. No one leaves, he said. A security guard reached toward Aaron's shoulder. His hand passed through Aaron's body. The guard screamed and stumbled backward. Linda covered her mouth. Oh my God. Aaron looked down at himself. His body flickered, briefly revealing the white hospital hallway behind him. Herson opened the file. Dr. Rivera knows why Aaron can appear here, he said. Dr. Rivera shook his head. No, I know nothing about this. You interviewed Aaron before his psychiatric hold, Herson continued. You interviewed Noah and Eli about the water tasting like medicine, then Aaron told you he drank from the same supply. Eli turned toward the doctor. Dad said he felt drugged. Noah's breathing became faster. He said he woke up hurting. Dr. Rivera looked toward Linda. You told me they were confused. Linda stepped away from him. Don't blame me. Aaron stared at her. You knew something was wrong with the water. I knew what Dan told me, Linda replied. Noah sat upright. Dan. Linda's eyes widened as if she had not meant to say the name. Eli looked between them. What did Dan tell you? Linda started crying again. He said Aaron was becoming dangerous. He said the boys needed to sleep so they could be moved without another scene. You let him drug us, Noah shouted. I didn't know how much he used. Eli moved toward her. You knew he put something in our water. Linda raised both hands. I thought it was something mild, something to calm everyone down. Aaron's expression hardened. You thought drugging children was acceptable. I was trying to get my sons back. They were never yours to take, Aaron said. Linda slapped both hands over her ears. Stop, you are dead, you cannot stand here and judge me. Aaron stepped closer. Maybe that is exactly why I'm here. Linda turned toward Dr. Rivera again. Please give me something, knock me out if you have to. Dr. Rivera shook his head. If this is a shared hallucination, sedating you could hide important neurological symptoms, if it is. He looked at Aaron and could not finish the sentence. If it is what? Eli asked. Herson answered for him. Then your father and I are not hallucinations. Noah looked toward Aaron. Dad, are you really here? Aaron's anger softened. I don't know, son. You told Herson we were in another timeline. I thought we were. Herson looked around the emergency room. We may still be. The lights flickered. For a moment, everyone saw the psychiatric ward instead of the hospital. Aaron lay motionless on a bed while staff members rushed around him. Dr. Rivera stood outside the room speaking with Dan. Linda was watching from the end of the hallway. Then the emergency room returned. Eli stared at his mother. You were there when Dad died. Linda shook her head repeatedly. No. We all saw you, Noah said. That wasn't me. Aaron moved directly in front of her. Then who was it? Linda looked into his eyes. It was the other Linda. Noah frowned. What other Linda? The one from the timeline where you died instead of Aaron. The heart monitor beside Noah suddenly stopped beeping. Noah's body went still. Eli turned toward him. Noah. Aaron looked at his son in horror. Noah. Eli grabbed Noah's shoulders. Bro, wake up. The room around them began to split down the middle. On one side, Noah lay unconscious in the emergency room. On the other, he stood beside a younger Eli in Linda's kitchen. Both versions of Noah opened their eyes at the same time. Herson stared at the dividing line. The timelines are merging. Linda backed away. No, they can't. Aaron looked at her. You knew this could happen. Linda began sobbing. I tried to keep both of my sons alive. Aaron glanced at the two versions of Noah. At whose expense? Linda looked directly at him. Yours. Dr. Rivera stared at Linda as she backed away from Aaron. My wife interviewed you during the custody investigation, he said. She documented everything you told her about Aaron, Noah, and Eli. Linda suddenly pointed at Aaron. My dead, disabled ex-husband is walking and talking to me right now, she screamed. Why are you talking about an interview? Dr. Rivera flinched at the volume of her voice. Because my wife's notes said you repeatedly claimed Aaron was confused, dangerous, and unable to care for the boys. He was disabled. That did not make him dangerous. Linda grabbed her head. This is insane, he couldn't walk when he was alive. Aaron looked down at his legs. I know. And now you're standing there acting like this is normal. Nothing about this is normal, Aaron replied. I remember being unable to move. I remember needing Rick and Scott to help me. I remember the psych ward. Linda shook her head. You're dead. Aaron stepped closer. So is Herson, but you can see both of us. Herson opened the file he had been carrying. Dr. Rivera, what was your wife's name? Dr. Rivera remained silent. Aaron looked at him. Answer him. Dr. Elena Rivera, he finally said. Eli's eyes widened. She interviewed us. Dr. Rivera nodded. She interviewed Noah first, then Eli. Afterward, she spoke privately with Aaron. Noah looked toward his father. What did Dad tell her? Dr. Rivera glanced at Linda before answering. He said he drank the same water as both of you. He said it tasted strange and made him tired. Aaron's face tightened as pieces of the memory returned. I told her I felt heavy, he whispered, like I couldn't control my own body. You already had a physical disability, Linda said. How was anyone supposed to know the difference? Aaron glared at her. You knew me, you knew when something was wrong. You hated me. That does not mean you couldn't recognize when I was being drugged. Dr. Rivera stepped between them. My wife believed Aaron. Linda stared at him. What? She requested blood tests for Aaron and the boys. Eli moved closer. Were the tests done? No. Why not? Dr. Rivera looked ashamed. I canceled them. Noah ripped the oxygen mask from his face. You what? I was told the tests would complicate the custody placement. By who? Aaron demanded. Dr. Rivera hesitated. Herson answered for him. Dan. The emergency room lights flickered. A man appeared in the doorway wearing an old psychiatric facility uniform. Linda gasped. Dan smiled. You people never could leave the past alone. Aaron charged toward him. You drugged my sons. Aaron grabbed Dan by the shirt, but his hands passed through him. Dan laughed. You're still dead, Aaron. Walking does not change that. Linda moved behind Dr. Rivera. Dan is dead too. Dr. Rivera nodded slowly. He died 6 years ago. Dan looked at Linda. You knew what I was doing. I knew you were calming them down, she said. I didn't know you were poisoning them. You asked me to make the boys easier to move. I did not ask you to kill Aaron. Aaron froze. The room became silent. Noah looked at Linda. You knew Dad could die. No. You just said you didn't ask Dan to kill him. Linda covered her mouth. Aaron walked toward her. What exactly did you ask him to do? Linda backed into the wall. I wanted you out of the way long enough for the judge to give me custody. How long? A few days. Dan laughed from the doorway. She said permanently. That's a lie, Linda screamed. Herson pulled a document from his file. No, it is. Linda stared at the paper. What is that? A copy of Dr. Elena Rivera's final interview notes. Dr. Rivera stepped toward him. Those records were destroyed. Not in every timeline, Herson replied. He began reading. Linda stated that life would be easier if Aaron never woke up. She believed the children would eventually forget him. Eli turned toward Linda with tears in his eyes. You wanted us to forget Dad. Linda shook her head. I was angry, I didn't mean it. Noah looked at Aaron. Dad, can you remember dying? Aaron closed his eyes. I remember being put in a room, I remember trying to call for help, then I heard Dan talking to someone outside. Who? Eli asked. Aaron opened his eyes and looked directly at Dr. Rivera. You. Dr. Rivera stepped backward. No. You told him to wait until my breathing slowed. No, Aaron. I heard your voice. Dr. Rivera's wife suddenly appeared behind him. She wore the same clothes she had worn during the custody interviews. Elena, Dr. Rivera whispered. She looked at her husband. Aaron is telling the truth. Dr. Rivera began crying. You're dead. Elena nodded. So are the people whose deaths you helped hide. Linda slid down the wall and covered her face. My dead, disabled ex-husband is walking, my dead lawyer is carrying destroyed evidence. Your dead wife is standing here, somebody please tell me what is real. Aaron looked around at the ghosts, the medical staff and both of his sons. Then he looked at Linda. The pain was real. The lights went black. When they came back on, Dan was gone. So were Aaron, Herson and Elena. Linda stared at the empty space. Noah sat upright. Dad. There was no answer. Eli grabbed Noah's hand. Dr. Rivera looked toward the dark window. Written across the glass were 4 words. The interview is not over. Noah stared at the empty space where Aaron and Herson had been standing. You believe me now, Mom? He asked Eli. Linda remained on the floor with her back against the wall. Her face was pale and her hands were trembling. I saw them, she whispered. Noah turned toward Eli. And you? Eli nodded slowly. I saw Dad, I heard him too. Noah leaned back against the stretcher. So I'm not crazy. I never said you were crazy, Eli replied. You asked the paramedics to give me something. Because you stopped breathing, Eli snapped. Then you woke up talking about dead people, I was scared. Noah's anger softened. I was scared too. Eli moved beside the stretcher and grabbed his brother's hand. I believe you now. Noah looked at Linda. What about you? Linda wiped the tears from her face. I believe that I saw Aaron and Herson. That isn't what I asked. Linda looked away. Noah pulled his hand from Eli and pointed toward her. Do you believe Dad was telling the truth about Dan, the water and the psych ward? Linda stayed silent. Eli stepped toward her. Mom, answer him. I don't know what was real, Linda said. The room changed, dead people appeared, there were 2 versions of Noah. How am I supposed to know what to believe? Because you already knew about the water, Noah replied. Linda shook her head. I knew Dan gave you something to make you sleep. You let him drug us, Eli said. I thought he was helping. Helping who? Noah shouted. Not us, not Dad. Dr. Rivera stood near the hospital door, listening quietly. Noah looked at him. You believe me too, right? Dr. Rivera lowered his eyes. I believe that everyone in this room experienced something that cannot be easily explained. That sounds like doctor talk for no. I saw Aaron, Dr. Rivera admitted. I saw Herson and I saw my wife. Then say it. Dr. Rivera took a breath. I believe you saw your father. Noah nodded. Thank you. Linda struggled to stand, and Eli helped her into a chair. She looked at both sons. I made mistakes. Noah laughed bitterly. Mistakes. I was desperate to get you back. You didn't get us back, Eli said. You helped take us away from Dad. Linda began crying again. I loved you. Then why didn't you protect us? Noah asked. Linda had no answer. The room became quiet except for the steady beeping of Noah's heart monitor. Eli sat beside his brother. What happens now? He asked. Noah looked toward the dark hospital window. I don't know. A faint reflection appeared in the glass. Aaron stood behind them. This time he was alone. Noah smiled. Dad. Eli turned toward the window. I see him. Linda slowly raised her head. Aaron placed his hand against the glass. His voice came softly through the room. I never wanted you boys to fight over who believed what happened to me. Noah's eyes filled with tears. We believe you now. Aaron smiled. That's not enough. Eli moved closer to the window. What do you need us to do? Aaron looked toward Dr. Rivera. Find the original interview. Dr. Rivera shook his head. It was destroyed. Aaron's reflection flickered. No, Alina hid a copy. Where? Noah asked. Aaron raised one finger and pointed toward Linda. Everyone turned toward her. Linda's face went pale. No, she whispered. Eli stood. Mom, what did Dad mean? Linda clutched her purse against her chest. Noah stared at it. The interview is in your purse, isn't it? Linda shook her head. Don't. Eli reached for the purse. Give it to me. Linda held it tighter. You don't understand what's on that recording. Noah sat upright. Then let us hear it. Linda looked toward Aaron's reflection. You promised me you would never come back. Aaron's smile disappeared. And you promised to protect our sons. The hospital door locked by itself. The lights dimmed. Aaron pointed toward the purse again. Play the recording, Linda. Find anything you can on Rick and Scott, Linda said on the recording. I never trusted them. A chair scraped across the floor. Dan's voice came next. What about Aaron's? The judge will take care of him. He's your kid's father. Shut up, Linda snapped. Act like you're just a nurse, don't blow this up for me. The recording stopped. Noah stared at Linda. The steady beeping of his heart monitor was the only sound in the room. Eli slowly lowered the phone. You were planning this, he said. Linda shook her head. That conversation is being taken out of context. Noah laughed bitterly. What context makes that okay? I was trying to protect you from Rick and Scott. By getting rid of Dad, Eli asked. I never said that. You said the judge would take care of him, Noah replied. What did that mean? Linda looked toward Dr. Rivera. He avoided her eyes. Noah pointed at him. You know. Dr. Rivera remained silent. Tell them, Linda said. Dr. Rivera looked at her in disbelief. You want me to explain this? You were there. I was there after you and Dan had already made the plan. Eli stepped between them. What plan? Dr. Rivera took a slow breath. The plan was to make Aaron appear unstable during the custody hearing. Noah's face tightened. How? Dan was supposed to document Aaron acting confused, aggressive, or paranoid. Linda would then claim the children were unsafe around him. Eli looked down at the phone. And Rick and Scott. Linda wanted information that could be used to keep them away from you. I knew they were dangerous, Linda insisted. That may have been true, Dr. Rivera said, but that was not your only reason. Linda glared at him. Dr. Rivera continued. You knew that without Rick and Scott helping Aaron, the court would question whether he could care for the boys alone. Aaron's reflection appeared faintly in the hospital window. Noah looked toward him. Aaron stood motionless, listening. Linda noticed him too. I was afraid, she said. Aaron's voice came softly through the glass. You were calculating. Linda stood from her chair. I wanted my children back. We were not property, Noah shouted. Linda flinched. Eli picked up the phone again. There's more on the recording. Don't play it, Linda said. Eli pressed the button. Dan's voice returned. If Aaron fails the evaluation, they'll put him on a hold. That's the point, Linda answered. And the boys? They come to me. What happens when Aaron gets released? Linda paused before replying. He won't be released quickly. Dan lowered his voice. You're asking me to change his medical records. I'm asking you to write down what you see. And if I don't see anything, then write down what the judge needs to see. The recording ended again. Noah pulled the oxygen mask from his face. You put Dad in that psych ward. Linda covered her mouth. I didn't know he would die there. But you knew he didn't belong there, Eli said. I believed he needed help. No, Noah replied, you needed him gone. Linda began crying. Aaron's reflection became clearer. For the first time, he was no longer looking at Linda. He was looking at his sons. I tried to tell everyone, Aaron said. No one believed me. Noah wiped tears from his face. I believe you. So do I, Eli said. Aaron smiled sadly. Dr. Rivera stepped closer to the phone. Where did you get that recording? Linda held the purse tightly against her chest. Your wife gave it to me. Dr. Rivera froze. Elena. She said if anything happened to Aaron, the boys deserved the truth. Then why did you hide it for 12 years? Linda looked at Noah and Eli. Because by the time I received it, Aaron was dead, Herson was dead, the judge had closed the case. That doesn't answer the question, Noah said. Linda lowered her head. If you heard it, you would hate me. Eli stared at her. You let us believe Dad lost his mind. I was raising you alone. You were raising us inside a lie, Noah said. The hospital lights flickered. Herson appeared beside Aaron in the window. He opened the old case file. There is one more recording, Herson said. Linda's head snapped toward him. No. Aaron looked at her. What is on it? Linda backed away from the window. The night you died. Noah's heart monitor began beeping faster. Eli gripped the phone. You recorded Dad's death. I didn't, Linda whispered. Dan did. Why, Noah asked. Linda stared at Aaron's reflection. Because Aaron woke up. Static filled the hospital room before Aaron's frightened voice came through the phone. Rick and Scott used me, Aaron cried on the recording. They used my kids too. Noah and Eli stared at the phone. Aaron's voice shook as he continued. I don't trust them with my boys. Send Noah and Eli to Linda. Please send them to Linda. The recording stopped. Linda looked at her sons. You heard him, she said quietly. Aaron wanted you with me. Noah looked toward Aaron's reflection in the hospital window. Aaron's face filled with pain. I was high at that point, Aaron said. Eli frowned. High. Drugged, Aaron clarified. I didn't take anything willingly. Whatever Dan gave me had already affected my head. Linda shook her head. You still said it. I didn't understand what was happening. You named Rick and Scott. Because someone had been putting those thoughts in my head. Dr. Rivera stepped closer to the phone. Was this recorded inside the psychiatric ward? Linda nodded. Dan said Aaron made the statement during an evaluation. Aaron turned toward Dr. Rivera. I remember pieces of it. What do you remember? Noah asked. Aaron closed his eyes. I remember waking up tied to a bed. I couldn't move my arms. Dan kept asking me the same questions. The room became quiet. What questions? Eli asked. Aaron opened his eyes. He asked whether Rick and Scott touched me without permission. He asked whether they used my disability to control me. Every time I said no, he gave me something else. Dr. Rivera's face tightened. That was not a proper evaluation. No, Aaron replied, it was an interrogation. Linda crossed her arms. Rick and Scott did hurt you. Aaron looked at her. That doesn't mean every word on that recording was true. Noah glanced between them. So did Dad trust Rick and Scott or not? Aaron hesitated. I trusted them for a long time, then I learned they had hidden things from me. What things? Eli asked. Aaron looked down. They knew Linda was alive. They knew people were building a case against me. They knew there were accusations involving the three of us. Linda stepped forward. And they kept you dependent on them. They were also my caregivers. Both things can be true, Dr. Rivera said. Someone can provide care and still take advantage of a vulnerable person. Aaron nodded reluctantly. I know that now. Noah looked at the phone. But did you actually want us sent to Mom? Aaron walked toward his son. No. You said it. I said it while I was terrified, drugged, and being pressured. Noah's eyes filled with tears. After Dad died, everyone told us that recording proved he chose Mom. Aaron looked horrified. They used that against you. For 12 years, Eli said. Linda lowered her head. I thought it was his final wish. No, you didn't, Noah replied. You had the first recording. You knew Dan was manipulating him. Linda's expression hardened. I also knew Rick and Scott were not safe. Aaron faced her. Then you should have protected the boys without pretending I willingly abandoned them. I was trying to give them stability. You built their stability on my breakdown. Linda pointed toward the phone. That was your voice. Aaron moved closer to her. My voice, Dan's words. Herson appeared beside Aaron in the window. That statement would never have survived a proper legal challenge, he said. Aaron was impaired under coercion and denied independent counsel. Linda stared at him. You were dead, there was no one left to challenge it. That was convenient, Herson replied. Dr. Rivera picked up the phone. There may be medical evidence in the recording. Eli looked at him. What kind? Listen to Aaron's speech. His breathing is slow and his words are slurred. Dan may have administered a sedative before pressing record. Noah looked toward his father. Can you remember what he gave you? Aaron shook his head. I remember a needle. Linda stepped backward. You never told me that. I was dead before I could. Dr. Rivera replayed the beginning of the recording. Aaron's sobbing voice filled the room again. Rick and Scott used me. Behind Aaron's voice, another sound could be heard. A man whispered, tell them Linda is safer. Eli grabbed the phone. Pause it. Dr. Rivera stopped the recording. Eli rewound several seconds and played it again. This time everyone heard Dan's faint voice. Tell them Linda is safer. Noah stared at his mother. He was feeding Dad the answers. Linda's lips parted but no words came out. Aaron looked at his sons. I would never willingly send you away. Noah wiped his face. Even to protect us. I would find somewhere safe, Aaron replied. But I would explain it to you. I would not disappear and leave behind a recording saying I didn't want you. Eli looked toward Linda. You knew Dan recorded Dad after drugging him. I knew Aaron was medicated, she admitted. I didn't know Dan was telling him what to say. You had both recordings, Noah said. You knew enough. Linda began crying. I was afraid the court would take you away from everyone. No, Eli replied. You were afraid the truth would take us away from you. The lights flickered. The hospital room transformed into the psychiatric ward for several seconds. Aaron was visible on a bed, restrained and barely conscious. Dan stood over him with a phone. Say you want the boys sent to Linda, Dan ordered. Aaron turned his head weakly. I want my dad. Dan leaned closer. Your father is dead, Aaron. Linda is the only person who can protect your children. Aaron began sobbing. Send them to Linda. The vision disappeared. Everyone returned to the hospital room. Aaron stared at the empty space where the bed had been. That is what happened. Noah walked toward his father's reflection. You didn't abandon us. Aaron placed his palm against the glass. Never. Eli joined his brother. Then why did you say Rick and Scott used us? Aaron's expression became serious. Because that part may have been true. Noah turned around. What did they do? Aaron looked toward Herson. Herson slowly opened the case file. The third recording answers that question. Eli looked at Linda with tears filling his eyes. Mom, you made us afraid of you, he said. We understand more now, but when we were kids, you scared us. Linda lowered her head. I never wanted either of you to fear me. But we did, Eli replied. Every time you showed up, someone was yelling the police were coming or Dad thought you were going to take us away. Noah sat upright on the hospital bed. The first time I remember meeting you, you were screaming at Dad, he said. Then you slapped him. Linda closed her eyes. Noah. I was 8 or 9 years old, Noah continued. Dad was my only parent at the time, so you hit the only parent I knew and then you tried to take me from him. I was angry. I was a kid, Noah shouted. I didn't understand your anger. All I understood was that this stranger came to our house, attacked my dad and said she was my mother. Linda began crying. You weren't a stranger to me. But you were a stranger to me, Noah replied. That statement silenced the room. Aaron stood beside the window, listening with tears in his eyes. Noah looked toward him before continuing. Before that happened, I had been asking Dad about you. Linda slowly raised her head. You asked about me. Yes, Noah said. I wanted to know where my mom was. I wanted to meet you. I thought maybe you would come back, hug me, apologize, and explain why you left. Linda covered her mouth. Noah shook his head. Instead, you came back screaming. I thought Aaron had turned you against me. He hadn't, Noah said. I was curious about you, I wanted you. Linda's face crumpled. Aaron stepped closer to his son. Noah. Noah looked directly at Linda. You were the one who turned me against you. Eli placed a hand on Noah's shoulder. Linda wiped her tears. I thought I had to fight. Every lawyer told me that if I appeared weak, Aaron would keep both of you. Eli frowned. Dad didn't even know I existed at first. I know. And when he found out, he took care of me, Eli continued. He didn't ask what I could do for him, he didn't ask how much money came with me. He just tried to make me feel safe. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. You deserve that, he said. Eli looked toward his father's reflection. I was scared of everybody back then, Marcus, CPS workers, foster parents, and you, Mom. Linda stepped toward him. I raised you. You controlled me, Eli replied. There's a difference. Linda stopped. You told people I was difficult, you let them think I was dangerous. Every time I tried to explain what was happening, adults said I was too young to understand. I was trying to survive. So was I. Linda had no response. Noah reached for Eli's hand. We get it now, Noah said. We understand that Rick and Scott may not have been safe. We understand that Dad needed help. We understand that you thought you were protecting us. Linda nodded quickly. Exactly. But understanding you doesn't erase what you did, Noah added. Linda's hopeful expression disappeared. You can't use Rick and Scott as an excuse for everything, Eli said. Even if they hurt Dad, that doesn't make drugging us okay, it doesn't make manipulating Dad okay, it doesn't make hiding the recordings okay. I was afraid you would hate me. Noah looked at her. We might have understood you better if you had told us the truth. You were children. And then we became adults, Eli replied. You still didn't tell us. Linda sat down and covered her face. I didn't know how. Noah's voice softened. You start by saying you were wrong. Linda looked at both sons. I was wrong. Eli waited. Linda took a shaking breath. I was wrong to let Dan give you anything without your knowledge. I was wrong to use Aaron's disability against him. I was wrong to hide the recordings. And I was wrong to believe that getting custody mattered more than making you feel safe. Noah glanced toward Aaron. Aaron nodded slowly, encouraging him to keep listening. Linda continued. When I slapped your father, I was not thinking about what you saw. I was thinking about everything I believed he had taken from me. I didn't take Noah from you, Aaron said. Linda looked toward him. I know that now. You left him. I know. Aaron's voice shook. And then you blamed me because he learned to live without you. Linda began sobbing. I hated that he loved you. Noah stared at her. Linda looked ashamed. You were supposed to be helpless, she said to Aaron. You were supposed to fail, but you built a life with him, you hired help. You learned how to be his father. Every time I heard that Noah was happy, I felt like he was proving he didn't need me. Noah's expression softened slightly, but he did not move toward her. So you tried to destroy what I had with Dad. I thought if you needed me, you would love me. Noah shook his head. You can't scare a child and then call their fear love. Aaron placed a hand over his mouth as tears ran down his face. Eli looked between his parents. Dad wasn't perfect either. Aaron nodded. No, I was. You were scared all the time, Eli said. Sometimes your fear made decisions for everybody. I know. You sent us to Grandma when you didn't want the court saying you coached us. You ordered things because you were scared something would happen. You yelled when you thought Mom was taking us. Aaron lowered his head. I made mistakes. But when you made us afraid, you apologized, Eli said. You explained yourself, you tried to do better. Linda stared at her son. And you don't believe I can do that? Eli thought for a moment. I believe you can try. Linda stood slowly. Can I hug you? Eli hesitated. No. Linda's face fell. I'm not saying never, Eli added. I'm saying not right now. Linda nodded and respected the distance between them. Noah looked at her. I don't want to hug either. I understand. Noah leaned back against the pillow. I wanted a mother when I was 8. What I got was a custody battle. Linda wiped her face. I cannot give you those years back. No, Noah said, but you can stop lying about them. The phone in Eli's hand suddenly began playing by itself. A third recording started. Rick's voice filled the hospital room. Aaron, you need to tell the truth before they take the boys. Scott spoke next. If you tell them what we did, we could lose everything. Aaron stared at the phone. His face went pale. Eli looked toward him. Dad. Aaron backed away from the window. I remember this conversation. Noah tightened his grip on the bedrail. What did they do? The recording continued. Rick's voice became clearer. We helped you, Aaron. Without us, you couldn't even get out of bed. Aaron's recorded voice trembled. That doesn't mean you own me. Scott sighed. No one said we owned you. You took money from my account. We used it for the house. You recorded me during changes. Linda looked horrified. Noah turned toward Aaron. They recorded your private care. Aaron nodded with tears in his eyes. And that wasn't the worst part. On the recording, Rick lowered his voice. The boys can never know. The phone went silent. Eli stared at his father. What couldn't we know? Aaron looked at Noah and Eli. That sometimes the people protecting you from one danger can become another danger themselves. Eli stared at the silent phone. They hurt both of us the same way, he said quietly. Remember, Noah, they said it was for rent. Noah's face went blank. What? In sexual ways, Eli continued, his voice shaking. We tried to sue them when we were older, but they died before the case went anywhere. Noah's eyes widened. Oh. He looked down at his hands as fragments of memory returned, locked doors, whispered threats, and being told that Aaron would lose his home if they spoke. Aaron stood frozen beside the window. No, he whispered, no they wouldn't. They did, Eli said. Aaron's body flickered violently. They helped me raise you. They also used that access to hurt us, Eli replied. Both things happened. Noah pressed his palms against his forehead. I remember them saying Dad couldn't afford the house without them. Eli nodded. They made it sound like we had to pay them back for taking care of us. Linda covered her mouth. You never told me. We didn't trust you, Noah said. The word struck her harder than shouting would have. Eli looked at Aaron. We tried to tell you once. Aaron shook his head desperately. When? You were in bed, Eli said. Rick came in before we could finish. He told you we were upset because we didn't want to follow the rules. Aaron closed his eyes. I remember asking if you boys were okay. And we said yes, Noah whispered. Because they were standing there, Eli added. Aaron began to cry. I should have known. No, Eli said firmly. They made sure you couldn't know. They controlled your care, your money, the house, and who could speak to you alone. Aaron looked toward Linda. So the recording was true. Parts of it were, Eli said. You were drugged and pressured, but when you said Rick and Scott used us, that part was real. Noah's breathing quickened. They told us nobody would believe us because Dad depended on them. Dr. Rivera stepped forward. What happened to the lawsuit? Eli's expression hardened. We filed it as adults. They denied everything. Then Rick died and Scott died not long after him. How? Linda asked. I don't know, Eli replied. Their lawyer said the case could no longer continue the same way. We stopped fighting because every hearing forced us to relive it. Noah stared at the ceiling. I forgot most of it. You didn't forget, Eli said gently. You survived it. Aaron placed both hands against the glass. I brought them into our home. You needed caregivers, Noah replied. Needing help wasn't the mistake. I trusted them. They fooled all of us, Eli said. Linda slowly approached her sons but kept her distance. I spent years trying to prove Rick and Scott were dangerous, she said. But I was so focused on using it against Aaron that I never created a place where you felt safe telling me. Noah looked at her. You made everything about custody. I know. Even when you were right about them, we thought it was another lie meant to take Dad away. Linda lowered her head. My behavior protected them. Noah nodded. In a way, yes. Aaron began sobbing harder. I thought I was protecting you from Linda. Linda thought she was protecting you from Rick and Scott. Meanwhile, nobody was listening to what you boys needed. Eli walked toward his father's reflection. We don't need you to blame yourself forever. How can I not? Because then we have to comfort you instead of dealing with what happened to us. Aaron went silent. Eli's voice softened. We need you to believe us. I believe you, Aaron said immediately, both of you completely. Noah finally looked toward the window. I don't remember everything. You don't have to, Aaron replied, you never have to prove it to me. Dr. Rivera picked up the phone. There may be more evidence on these recordings. No, Noah said sharply. Everyone turned toward him. I don't want to hear more tonight. Eli nodded. Neither do I. Dr. Rivera placed the phone on the table. Then we stop. Linda looked at the two brothers. What do you need from me? Noah thought for a long moment. Don't defend yourself. Linda nodded. Okay. Don't tell us you were trying to protect us. Okay. And don't ask for forgiveness because you feel guilty. Linda's eyes filled with tears. Okay. Eli sat beside Noah and took his hand. We already spent years surviving what everyone else did, we're not carrying their guilt too. Aaron's reflection began to fade. Dad, Noah asked. I'm still here, Aaron said. Are you leaving? I think this place brought me back because there were truths none of us could face. Eli looked at him. And now? Now you both said it out loud. Aaron smiled through his tears. What happened to you was not rent, it was not payment, it was abuse, and none of it was your fault. Noah began to cry. Eli pulled him into a hug. For the first time since the recording started, the hospital room stopped changing. There were no alternate doors, no younger versions of the brothers, and no voices coming from the walls. There was only Noah holding Eli, Linda sitting silently nearby, and Aaron watching his sons from the glass. Then Herson appeared beside Aaron. The truth is finally in the correct timeline, he said. Aaron looked at him. Does that mean we can go? Herson nodded. But they still need us. No, Aaron said as he watched Eli hold Noah. They needed us to believe them. Aaron raised his hand toward his sons one final time. They can take care of each other now. Linda looked toward Aaron's fatting reflection in the hospital window. I tried to tell you at the park, she said. Rick and Scott were there with you and Herson, but you kept Noah home with Jackie. Aaron's expression hardened. That was 3 days after you slapped me, he replied. I kept my kid home because I wanted him to be safe. I wasn't going to hurt Noah. How was I supposed to know that? Linda looked toward her sons. I wanted to warn Aaron about Rick and Scott. Aaron shook his head. No, you arranged that meeting because you wanted to see Noah. I wanted both. You never told Herson that you had information about Rick and Scott. I didn't trust Herson. Herson appeared faintly beside Aaron. You could have given the information to the police, the court, a doctor, or a child protection worker, he said. You had options. Linda crossed her arms. And every one of those people believed Aaron instead of me. Aaron stared at her. You slapped me in front of our son, Linda. Then 3 days later you expected me to bring him to a park where you would be waiting. I was angry when I slapped you. And I was scared after you did it. Linda's eyes filled with tears. You were scared of me. Yes, Aaron answered. I couldn't physically defend myself. Rick and Scott had to step between us. Noah saw the whole thing. Noah nodded slowly. I remember Jackie standing in front of me. Linda looked at him. I never wanted you to see that. But I did, Noah replied. You can't change what happened because you had something important to say later. Eli remained beside his brother. Why didn't you call Dad after the park? He asked. I did, Linda said. He wouldn't answer. Aaron shook his head. You were calling from blocked numbers. I thought you were trying to get around the restraining order. I was trying to tell you that Rick and Scott were dangerous. You also kept saying you were coming to take Noah. Linda lowered her head. I thought if I scared you, you would listen. Aaron gave a bitter laugh. You scared me and then blamed me for acting scared. The room became quiet. Linda looked toward the phone containing the recordings. I knew something was wrong with Rick and Scott. I saw how they spoke for you. I saw how they controlled who came into the house. Aaron nodded reluctantly. You were right about some things. Linda looked surprised. Aaron continued. But being right about them does not make everything you did right. I know. You could have warned me without threatening to take my son. I didn't think you would listen. You never gave me the chance. Linda wiped her face. At the park, I was going to show you bank records. Rick and Scott had been taking money from your account. Aaron's reflection flickered. What bank records? I found payments labeled as rent and caregiving expenses. The amounts kept increasing. Noah glanced at Eli. That's why they kept talking about rent. Eli nodded. They wanted everything to sound like something we owed them. Aaron looked devastated. Why didn't I notice the money missing? They controlled your online accounts, Linda said. They told you the bills were higher because of your medical care and the boys. Aaron closed his eyes. I believed them. You depended on them, Noah said. That made it harder to question them. Aaron looked at his son. I should have protected you. Noah shook his head. You kept me home that day because you thought you were protecting me. Linda looked toward Noah. And because he kept you home, I couldn't warn him. Noah's expression hardened. Don't put that on Dad. I'm not. You are, Noah said. You're making it sound like if Dad had brought me to the park, everything would have been different. Linda opened her mouth, but Noah continued. You had the information. You could have sent it to Herson. You could have mailed it. You could have given it to Grandma. You could have called the police. I was afraid Rick and Scott would find out. So you did nothing. I tried to handle it myself. Eli sighed. That was everyone's problem. Every adult tried to handle everything alone. Aaron looked at Linda. What happened to the records? I still have them. Noah and Eli both stared at her. You kept them for all these years? Eli asked. Linda nodded. They're in a storage box with the recordings. Why didn't you give them to us when we tried to sue Rick and Scott? Noah demanded. Linda's face went pale. I didn't know about the lawsuit until after they died. We lived with you, Noah said. You stopped talking to me about anything involving Dad. Because every time we mentioned Dad, you changed the subject. Linda sat down. I thought talking about him was hurting you. No, Eli replied, not knowing the truth was hurting us. Aaron turned toward Herson. If you had received those records, could you have done something? Yes, Herson answered. I could have requested a financial investigation. I could have asked the court to replace Rick and Scott as caregivers while the allegations were reviewed. And Aaron could have kept custody, Linda asked. If safe caregivers had been found, possibly. Linda stared at the floor. So I could have protected the boys without taking them from their father. Yes, Herson replied. Linda began crying. I thought the only way to save them was to win. Aaron's voice softened. There should never have been a winner, Linda. Noah and Eli were children, not prizes. I know that now. Noah looked between his parents. Dad was right to keep me home that day. Linda nodded through her tears. Yes. He wasn't keeping me from you because he hated you. I know. He was protecting me because you had just attacked him. Linda took a trembling breath. Yes. Aaron looked toward Noah. I didn't know what Linda wanted to tell me. I only knew what had happened 3 days earlier. I understand, Dad, Noah said. Linda stood and faced Aaron. I'm sorry I blamed you for not coming to the park. Aaron remained silent for several seconds. I believe you wanted to warn me, he finally said, but I also believe I made the safest decision I could with what I knew. You did. Aaron nodded. That is all I needed you to admit. The phone on the table lit up by itself. A photograph appeared on the screen. It showed Linda sitting alone on a park bench 12 years earlier. A folder rested beside her with Rick's and Scott's names written across the front. Noah studied the picture. You really were waiting. Linda nodded. I waited for 4 hours. Eli looked at the date beneath the photograph. 3 days after she slapped Dad. Aaron looked at Linda. Both things are true. You were trying to warn me and I had every reason not to trust you. Linda wiped her eyes. Both things are true. For the first time, the hospital window stopped flickering. Aaron, Herson, and the room around them remained steady. Herson looked at the family. The timelines were never divided by one person telling the truth and another person lying. Noah glanced at him. Then what divided them? Everyone remembered only the part that protected them from their own guilt. Aaron looked at Linda. She looked at Noah and Eli. No one argued. The hospital room fell silent as they finally allowed every part of the past to exist at the same time. Linda looked at Aaron through the hospital window. I fucked up, she admitted, but I wanted to talk to you. I wanted a real conversation, not one that went through Herson, my lawyer, and the court. Aaron remained quiet. Linda wiped her face. Every time I tried to say something, it became a legal argument. Your lawyer spoke for you. My lawyer told me what not to admit. The judge only cared about evidence. Nobody talked like two parents trying to protect their children. Herson stepped forward. You had opportunities to speak directly to Aaron. And every conversation was being recorded or used against me, Linda replied. Aaron shook his head. You slapped me, threatened to take Noah, and ignored the restraining order. After that, of course, I wanted Herson involved. I know. You made it unsafe to speak to you alone. Linda nodded slowly. I know that now. At the time, I thought you were hiding behind your lawyer. I was protecting myself. I understand. Aaron studied her face. What did you want to say to me? Linda looked toward Noah and Eli. I wanted to tell you that I believed Rick and Scott were controlling your money. I wanted to tell you I saw the way they answered questions for you. You could have told Herson. I didn't want another lawyer conversation, Linda shouted. I wanted you to look at me and understand that I wasn't making everything up. Herson crossed his arms. The problem was that you mixed real concerns with threats, violence, and false accusations. Aaron had no way of knowing which part to believe. Linda lowered her voice. I know. Noah watched his parents carefully. So both of you wanted to protect us, but neither of you trusted the other enough to listen. Aaron glanced at him. That's part of it. Eli shook his head. It was more than that. Mom wanted Dad to listen, but she wanted to control how the conversation happened. Linda looked at him. You're right. And Dad only trusted conversations with witnesses because he was scared of what Mom might do, Eli continued. Aaron nodded. You're right too. Linda moved closer to the glass. I didn't want to talk through lawyers because they made everything cold. They turned every sentence into a weapon. Aaron's expression softened slightly. Sometimes I needed that distance. I know. You weren't just my ex-wife anymore, you were someone who had hurt me. Linda closed her eyes. I hate hearing that. It's still true. I know. Aaron took a breath. If we had spoken alone at the park, what would you have said first? Linda thought for a moment. I would have said, I'm sorry I slapped you. Aaron waited. Then what? I would have given you the bank records and told you to get new caregivers. You would not have asked for Noah. Linda hesitated. I would have. Aaron gave a bitter laugh. There it is. But I would have asked to see him, not take him permanently. You had already told me you were taking him. I was angry when I said that. And I had no way to know when your anger was serious. Linda nodded. You're right. Noah looked at her. When you wanted to talk to Dad, did you actually want to listen too? Linda opened her mouth then stopped. After several seconds, she answered honestly. No. Aaron stared at her. Linda continued. I wanted him to admit that I was right. I wanted him to admit Rick and Scott were dangerous, that he needed me, and that I deserved another chance with the boys. So it wasn't a conversation, Eli said. It was a confession you wanted Dad to make. Linda looked ashamed. Yes. Aaron moved closer to the window. That is why Herson had to be there. You weren't ready to hear no. Linda nodded. I was. Herson looked toward Aaron. And you weren't ready to hear that Linda might be right about Rick and Scott. Aaron lowered his head. No. You associated every warning from her with losing your sons. Aaron looked toward Noah and Eli. Because that was usually what came next. Linda sighed. I made it impossible for you to separate my concern from my custody demands. Yes. And you made it impossible for me to believe you would ever listen without a lawyer forcing you. Aaron considered that. Maybe. Linda looked surprised by the admission. Aaron continued. But I was not wrong for needing protection. No, Linda replied, you were. And you were not wrong for wanting to warn me about Rick and Scott. No. You were wrong in how you did it. I know. Noah rested his head against the hospital pillow. This is the conversation you should have had 12 years ago. Linda gave a sad smile. Yes. Eli looked toward Aaron. But back then, neither of you could have had it like this. Aaron nodded. No, there was too much fear. And too many people speaking for us, Linda added. Herson raised an eyebrow. I spoke for Aaron because he asked me to. Linda looked at him. I know, I blamed you because it was easier than admitting Aaron didn't trust me. Herson nodded once. That is the first honest thing you have ever said about me. Linda almost laughed, but instead she began crying again. I wanted Aaron to talk to me. Aaron's voice softened. And I wanted to feel safe enough to do that. Linda looked through the glass at him. I'm sorry I never made it safe. Aaron remained silent for several seconds. Then he said, I believe you. Linda's eyes widened. That doesn't mean everything is forgiven, Aaron continued. It means I believe you are sorry. Linda nodded. That's enough for now. Noah looked at both of them. So what happens next? Aaron turned toward his sons. Now nobody speaks for you. Eli took Noah's hand. And nobody uses us to win an argument. Linda wiped her face. Agreed. Herson closed the case file. For the first time, that sounds like an actual family conversation. Eli's grip tightened around Noah's hand. I remember Rick or Scott coming into my room, he said. Sometimes I hadn't wet or messed myself at all. Aaron's expression changed. What do you mean? They made me drink 4 cups of prune juice every night, Eli continued. Then they waited. Noah looked sick. They were making it happen on purpose. Eli nodded slowly. Aaron covered his mouth. I thought they had a medical reason for changing you. That's what they told me when Jackie started asking questions. They lied, Eli said. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. They told me you were having stomach problems. I wasn't, not before they started giving me that stuff. Linda moved closer but stopped several feet away. Eli, you don't have to tell us everything at once. I need to say it. She nodded and remained quiet. Eli stared at the floor. At first, I thought they were only changing me, but they acted like they enjoyed embarrassing me. Sometimes I heard them laughing and whispering to each other. Aaron's body began flickering again. No. I was blindfolded sometimes, Eli said. I couldn't see what they were doing, I only knew something felt wrong. Dr. Rivera stepped forward carefully. Eli, you do not need to guess or fill in anything you cannot remember. What you already remember is enough to be taken seriously. Eli looked at him. I think they were doing things with each other while they were supposed to be helping me. I don't know for sure. That uncertainty does not make your memories unimportant, Dr. Rivera replied. You remember being forced to drink something, being blindfolded, being touched during unnecessary care, and feeling unsafe. Those facts matter. Aaron pressed both hands against the window. I left them alone with you. You didn't know, Eli said. I should have checked. They made sure you couldn't, Noah replied. They always came in acting like they were helping you. Aaron shook his head. I thought they were giving me a break. They made you believe you needed them, Eli said. Then they used the time alone with us. Linda sat beside Noah's bed. Did Jackie ever see anything? Eli thought for a moment. She asked why I needed so many changes. Rick said my body was adjusting to a new diet. Aaron looked horrified. That was when Jackie told me the prune juice was too much. You told them to stop, Eli remembered. I did. They stopped for a few days, then they started giving it to me after you went to sleep. Noah lowered his head. They knew Dad's medication made him sleep heavily. Aaron began crying. They used my disability and my medication to get access to you. Herson stood beside him. They created dependency around the entire household, he said. They controlled Aaron's care, the children's routines, the money, and the information reaching anyone outside the home. Linda looked at Aaron. That is why I kept saying they answered every question for you. Aaron nodded, devastated. I thought they were helping me communicate. Sometimes they were, Noah said. That's what made it confusing. Eli wiped his eyes. They could be nice during the day, they bought us things, they helped Dad, then at night everything changed. Aaron looked at both sons. I need you to hear me, none of that was care, none of it was your fault. I know that now, Eli said, I didn't know it then. What did you think? I thought I was causing extra work, Eli replied. They said if I behaved better they wouldn't have to keep coming into my room. Aaron's face twisted with anger. They blamed you for what they were doing. Eli nodded. Noah moved closer and put an arm around him. You never caused it. I know. Linda looked toward Eli. Did they threaten you? They said Dad would lose the house if we complained. They said nobody else would be willing to care for him. Aaron closed his eyes. They used me as the threat. They made us believe protecting you meant staying quiet, Noah said. Aaron opened his eyes again. You never had to protect me by letting someone hurt you. We were kids, Eli replied, we didn't understand that. Dr. Rivera picked up a chair and sat at Eli's level. Do you want the recording stopped and the room cleared? Eli nodded. Yes, no more recordings tonight. Dr. Rivera turned off the phone and placed it inside a sealed evidence bag. No one plays anything else without your permission. Linda looked at Aaron. I warned you that something was wrong, but I never understood how bad it was. Aaron stared at her. And I refused to hear it because every warning came with a threat to take my children. I know. Eli looked between them. Please don't turn this into another fight about which parent was right. Aaron immediately nodded. You're right. Linda lowered her head. This is about what happened to you and Noah. Yes, Eli said, for once let it be about us. Aaron placed his palm against the glass. What do you need from me? Believe me without asking me to prove more. I believe you. Don't blame yourself so much that I have to take care of you. Aaron wiped his face. I'll try. And don't make me forgive Rick and Scott because they're dead. I would never ask that. Eli looked toward Linda. What do you need from me? She asked. Nothing right now, he said, just listen. Linda nodded. I'm listening. Noah rested his head against Eli's shoulder. We survived them. Eli squeezed his hand. Yeah. Aaron watched his sons from the other side of the glass. You should never have needed to survive inside my home. Eli met his eyes. It was still our home, Dad. What they did doesn't erase every good memory. Aaron began crying again. But it changes how we understand them. It does, Noah said, and now we understand why so much felt wrong. The hospital room remained still. No doors appeared, no alternate timeline replaced the walls. For the first time, nobody interrupted Eli, questioned his memory, or demanded details he was not ready to give. They simply believed him. Linda looked at Eli carefully. When you first went to live with your dad, you were almost finished with potty training, she said. Then you started having accidents again. I was angry that nobody continued working with you. Eli shook his head. I didn't have any problems when I first got there. Linda frowned. What do you mean? I could use the bathroom by myself, Eli said. I wasn't having accidents until Rick and Scott started giving me the prune juice. Aaron's face went pale. So the regression didn't happen because the routine changed. No, Eli replied, they caused it. Linda slowly sat down. I thought Aaron and the caregivers stopped trying. Aaron looked at her. I believed them when they said Eli had already been struggling before he came to me. I wasn't, Eli said. At Mom's house I could hold it. I knew when I needed to go. Noah looked at him. And after Rick and Scott started coming into your room, I started getting scared to use the bathroom, Eli explained. They watched everything I did. Sometimes it felt safer not to tell anyone I needed to go. Aaron wiped his eyes. I thought you were embarrassed because you were adjusting to a new home. I was embarrassed, Eli said, but not for the reason you thought. Linda covered her mouth. I blamed everyone for not continuing your training. You blamed me too, Eli replied. Linda looked down. I did. You told people I was lazy. I repeated what Marcus told me. And what Rick and Scott told Dad, Eli said. Every adult kept using the same word. Aaron looked toward his son. You were never lazy. I know that now. Linda began crying. When I saw you wearing pull-ups again, I thought Aaron's house had made you go backward. Eli shook his head. The house didn't do it, the people inside it did. Aaron looked devastated. And I kept buying more supplies because I thought I was helping. You were responding to what they told you, Noah said. They created the problem and then made themselves necessary to fix it. Herson nodded. That is a common method of control. They made the household depend on them by creating needs that had not existed before. Linda looked toward Aaron. That was why the expenses kept increasing. Aaron's expression hardened. They charged me for extra supplies, extra laundry, and overnight care. Eli nodded slowly. They made money from what they were doing to me. The room became silent. Linda looked sick. I was angry because I thought nobody cared enough to help you finish potty training. Eli stared at her. I didn't need more training, I needed someone to stop hurting me. Linda closed her eyes as tears rolled down her face. You're right. Aaron placed his hand against the glass. I'm sorry I believed them instead of asking you privately. You did ask me once, Eli said. Aaron looked surprised. When? You asked why I only had accidents at night. Aaron's eyes widened as the memory returned. You said you didn't know. Rick was standing behind you. Aaron lowered his head. I should have asked again when we were alone. They tried not to leave us alone with you, Noah said. They were always interrupting. Linda looked at Eli. When you came back to me, why didn't the accidents stop immediately? Eli thought for a moment. Because by then I was scared, my body had learned that nighttime meant something bad was going to happen. Dr. Rivera spoke gently. That reaction can continue even after the immediate danger is gone. It does not mean Eli lost a skill or refused to learn. Linda nodded slowly. So I punished him for something his body was doing because he was afraid. Yes, Eli said. Linda covered her face. I'm sorry. Eli remained quiet. I should have asked what happened instead of getting angry, she continued. I saw the pull-ups and decided everyone had failed you. You made it about whether Dad was a good parent, Noah said. Linda looked at him. I did. And Dad made it about proving he could take care of Eli, Noah added. Aaron nodded painfully. I did too. Eli looked between both parents. Neither of you asked whether I actually needed the pull-ups. Aaron wiped his face. You're right. Linda lowered her hands. You said you had no issues when you arrived at Aaron's house. I didn't, Eli replied, not until Rick and Scott changed things. Linda looked toward the sealed evidence bag containing the recordings. Then the medical notes were false too. Dr. Rivera nodded. If the notes claimed Eli arrived with severe toileting problems, they should be reviewed. The timeline he just described directly contradicts them. Aaron looked toward Herson. Could that have helped the case? It could have shown that the caregivers were creating or exaggerating medical needs, Herson answered. It also could have changed how the court viewed their access to the children. Linda shook her head. I was so focused on proving Aaron was unfit that I missed the people actually causing the harm. Aaron looked at her. And I was so focused on proving I was capable that I accepted too much help without questioning it. Eli raised his voice slightly. Stop. Both parents looked at him. This isn't another competition about who failed more. Aaron nodded. You're right. Linda wiped her eyes. What do you want us to understand? Eli took a long breath. I was already potty trained, I wasn't lazy, I didn't choose to go backward, they caused problems, embarrassed me, and then convinced everyone I needed them. Aaron pressed his palm harder against the glass. I understand. Linda nodded. So do I. Eli looked at both of them. And when I stopped having accidents later, it wasn't because someone finally trained me correctly. What was it? Noah asked. Eli squeezed his brother's hand. I finally felt safe. Noah looked at Eli, still trying to understand the difference between what had happened to them. I lived in that house almost my whole life, Noah said. So why did Rick and Scott do the same things to me? The only thing I remember is them drugging me. Eli lowered his eyes. I don't know. Aaron's reflection remained near the hospital window. You were our firstborn, Noah, Aaron said. Things were different when you were younger. I had less pain then and I could do more for myself. Noah listened quietly. I didn't depend on Rick and Scott as much when you were little, Aaron continued. They didn't have the same control over the house yet. Eli looked toward him. So by the time I came, they had more access. Aaron nodded sadly. They controlled my medication, my money, my appointments, and most of the nighttime routines. Noah looked down at his hands. So they couldn't isolate me the same way. Maybe not, Aaron replied, or maybe they hurt you differently. Noah's face tightened. They drugged me. That was still abuse, Eli said. It doesn't have to be exactly the same to count. Aaron stepped closer to the glass. Noah, when Linda's lawyer left you outside in 19-degree weather, I was younger and stronger. I could still fight harder. I had more energy to question people and watch everything. Linda closed her eyes at the memory. Aaron looked at Eli. But when you came into my life, my body had changed. I had more pain, I needed more help, and I trusted the wrong people. Eli shook his head. Dad, don't make this your fault. I should have been on your side, Aaron said. I should have seen what was happening. You were on my side. Not enough. Aaron's voice broke. I'm sorry, Eli. I'm sorry I believed them when they said you needed all those changes. I'm sorry I didn't understand what they were doing. Then he looked toward Noah. And I'm sorry to you too. I'm sorry they drugged you. I'm sorry you had to watch people attack me, threaten our family, and make you feel responsible for protecting me. Noah's eyes filled with tears. Dad, you were hurt too. Aaron went silent. You keep talking like you were standing there doing nothing, Noah continued. But they were controlling you. They took your medicine, your money, and your ability to know what was happening. I was still your father. And you were still a victim, Noah said. Aaron looked away. I hate that word. I know, Noah replied, but you always told us being disabled didn't make you weak. Being abused doesn't make you weak either. Aaron's body flickered as he began to cry. Eli stepped beside his brother. They made all three of us feel like we owed them something. Noah nodded. They used Dad's care against him. And they used our love for Dad against us, Eli added. Aaron pressed his hand against the glass. I would have left that house immediately if I had known. We know, Noah said. I would have found new caregivers. We know. I would have believed you. Eli looked directly at him. That's what matters now. Aaron shook his head. It doesn't feel like enough. It has to be, Noah said, because you can't go back and become stronger, healthier, or less dependent. You can only believe us now. Aaron wiped his face. I believe both of you. Noah leaned back against the hospital pillow. And stop comparing what happened to us. Aaron frowned slightly. What do you mean? I keep asking why they did more to Eli and not me, Noah said. Maybe I'm trying to decide whose pain was worse. Eli squeezed his hand. We don't have to decide. Noah nodded slowly. They drugged me, they abused you through fake medical care, they controlled Dad, it was all wrong. Linda sat quietly nearby. They divided everyone, she said. They made each person think the others had a different version of the truth. Noah looked at her. And the adults kept fighting over which version mattered most. Linda lowered her head. Yes. Aaron looked at both sons. When Linda's lawyer left Noah outside, I knew exactly who the danger was. It was obvious. He looked toward Eli. With you, the danger wore caregiver uniforms, bought supplies, cooked meals, and told me they loved our family. Eli nodded. That's why nobody saw it. Aaron's voice softened. I am sorry I wasn't able to protect you. Noah shook his head. Dad, you protected us in every way you understood. And when you couldn't protect us, Eli added, it was because they were hurting you too. Aaron looked between them. So none of us failed each other. We were a family being controlled by people we trusted, Noah replied. That isn't the same as failing. Eli rested his head against Noah's shoulder. We survived different parts of the same house. Aaron pressed his palm against the window. And now? Noah raised his hand toward his father's. Now we stop blaming ourselves for what they chose to do. Linda looked toward Noah and Eli. There was another man, she said. He told me Rick and Scott had hurt him when he was a child. I wanted him to give a statement. Eli studied her face. You wanted him to testify before everyone decided you were lying. Linda nodded. Yes. Aaron's reflection became clearer in the hospital window. Who was he? Aaron asked. Linda hesitated. His name was Daniel Mercer. He lived near Rick's family when they were younger. Herson frowned. I never heard that name during the case. Because Daniel backed out. Why? Noah asked. He said he couldn't face them again. Eli crossed his arms. So you had someone who could support your warning, but he was too scared to testify. Yes, Linda replied, and without him, everyone thought I was making accusations because I wanted custody. Aaron looked toward her. Did Daniel actually identify Rick and Scott? Linda shook her head. He couldn't see them clearly when it happened. He remembered their voices, the house, and details about their family, but he could not positively identify which one was there. Herson's expression remained serious. Then his statement could have supported an investigation, but it would not have proven the allegation by itself. I knew that, Linda said, but I thought it was enough to make someone look closer. Eli sighed. And when nobody did, you started blackmailing people. Linda lowered her head. Yes. The room became silent. Noah stared at her. You blackmailed everyone. After Aaron died, I believed the court might place you with Rick and Scott, Linda said. I could not let that happen. You could have told the truth, Noah replied. I had already tried. No, Eli said, you mixed the truth with threats, custody demands, and lies. By then, nobody knew which part to believe. Linda nodded painfully. You're right. Aaron stepped closer to the glass. Who did you blackmail? Linda looked toward Herson. Court staff, a social worker, one of Dan's supervisors, anyone I thought could influence where the boys went. Herson stared at her. What did you have on them? Emails, affairs, financial records, private messages, anything I could find. Noah's face tightened. You threatened people so they would send us to you. I threatened them so they would not send you to Rick and Scott. That is not the same as protecting us, Eli said. I know how it sounds. It sounds like you controlled the system because you decided only you could save us, Noah replied. Linda wiped her eyes. That is exactly what I believed. Aaron shook his head. You never considered another safe placement. I did. With who? Your parents first, Linda answered, then Jackie, then Melissa. Noah frowned. What happened? Your parents were afraid of the court case. Jackie was told she would lose her license if she became involved. Melissa had no legal standing. Herson looked at Linda. Were those real obstacles or did you create them? Linda did not answer immediately. Eli stepped closer. Mom, I made some of them worse, Linda admitted. How? Noah asked. I warned Jackie that if she challenged me, I would expose private information about her family. Aaron's expression hardened. Jackie protected Noah. I know. You threatened someone who had kept our son safe. I thought she would help Rick and Scott keep him. She would have helped Noah, Aaron snapped, not them. Linda began crying. I didn't trust anyone. And because you trusted no one, you forced everyone to obey you, Eli said. Linda nodded. Yes. Herson closed the file in his hands. Blackmail may have changed the placement, but it also prevented an honest investigation. People acted to protect themselves instead of protecting the children. Linda looked toward him. If I had done nothing, Rick and Scott might have gotten custody. Possibly, Herson said, but your interference also buried evidence that could have removed them permanently. Linda went still. What evidence? The financial records, Daniel's statement, Jackie's concerns, the false medical notes, and the drugging allegations, Herson answered. Together, they could have justified emergency removal and a full criminal investigation. Linda looked devastated. I thought nobody would listen. So you made sure nobody could speak honestly, Noah replied. Aaron stared at her through the glass. You wanted control more than truth. Linda shook her head. I wanted my sons alive. And you convinced yourself that anything was acceptable if you called it protection, Aaron said. Linda looked toward Noah and Eli. I was terrified that after Aaron died, you would be sent back into that house. Noah's expression softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. We understand the fear. Eli nodded. We even understand why you were desperate. Linda looked hopeful. But that does not make the blackmail okay, Eli continued. You decided for everyone, Noah added. You decided who could speak, who could care for us, and which truth the court was allowed to hear. Linda lowered her head. I did. Aaron's voice softened. Did the blackmail work? Yes, Linda said. The judge ruled that Rick and Scott could not take custody. Noah looked toward Eli. So she did keep us away from them. Eli nodded slowly. But she also made us live with her without knowing why. Linda looked at them. I thought telling you everything would destroy you. Noah gave a bitter